Now at 9, details on an Amtrak train that derailed in Missouri, killing 3 people and injuring dozens more. Plus, the Kansas Attorney General responds to the Supreme Court's ruling on abortion rights, and a new study looks at the impact of a 2019 permitless carry gun law in Oklahoma.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Dow Quick. At least 3 people are dead, dozens more injured after a train slammed into a dump truck and derailed in rural Missouri. Reporter Madison Scarpino has that story from Mendon.
At least 3 people are dead after an Amtrak train traveling from Los Angeles to Chicago derailed in rural northern Missouri. Amtrak says the derailment occurred just before 1 p.m. local time after the train slammed into a dump truck that was blocking a public crossing. The driver of that dump truck is among the deceased. Officials say 243 passengers and 12 crew members were on board the train when the incident occurred. First responders rushed to the scene using ladders and other tools to get into the heavily damaged train cars.
Multiple law enforcement agencies, ambulance districts, first responders, fire departments, and medical helicopters responded to assist.
The train had roughly 8 cars. 7 derailed. Multiple people were also injured during the incident and were transported to local hospitals by helicopter and ambulance. Their conditions are not known at this time.
It's an uncontrolled crossbuck intersection on a gravel road, so no lights, no electronic control devices, things such as that.
Officials from Amtrak are responding to the scene, and the NTSB has been advised. The investigation is in its preliminary stages.
This deadly incident comes just 1 day after another Amtrak train collided with a car in Northern California, killing 3 people. The National Transportation Safety Board has launched an investigation into the incident. A 14-member crew is expected to arrive at the scene Tuesday. In Mendon, Missouri, Madison Scarpino, Fox News.
Let's check in with Nick Kelly for a first look at the weather.
It's been a quiet day overall, Dal, even though we saw a lot of cloud cover pick up during the afternoon and certainly this evening. But that did not stop us from going from a chilly 58 this morning and topping out at 84 degrees this afternoon because we had quite a bit of dry air near the surface that allowed that quick warm up throughout the course of the day. Plus, the dry air at the surface has been eating away at some showers that have been really trying to hold together as they work across southeastern parts of Kansas. For the most part, I'm really expecting the bulk of the rain chances with this quick upper wave coming across western Kansas to stay mainly west of the area. Right now, though, upper 60s to lower 70s across the board. Quick look at our future track forecast through the rest of the night. Has a cloud cover holding steady, but any rain chances pretty much dwindling from here on out, Dow, with lows dropping back near 63. We'll see how the rest of the week shaping up here in a few.
See you then. The U.S. Supreme Court's historic decision to strike down its nearly 50-year-old precedent on abortion rights shifts the debate from Washington, D.C. to the states. And state leaders are staking out their positions. It's an immediate issue for the people of Kansas, who will vote August 2nd on whether to authorize state lawmakers to adopt tighter abortion restrictions. KOIM today talked with Kansas Attorney General Derek Schmidt, who voiced his support for the Supreme Court ruling.
So I think the court did the right thing. It's going to invite some difficult discussions in Kansas and around the country. But the decisions now have been returned to the people, and Americans have shown time and again we're capable of arguing and debating and discussing among ourselves until we come to the right answer and the right balance. I think we'll do that here too.
Trigger laws banning most abortions are already in effect in Missouri, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. The shockwaves from Friday's abortion ruling are still reverberating across the street from the Supreme Court and the halls of Congress. Lawmakers fanned out this weekend with ideas about packing the court or changing confirmation hearings. Others are praising the High Court and the ruling. Carolyn Shively reports from Washington.
Pro-choice activists and their pro-life counterparts gathered at the Supreme Court on Monday. But the next round of the abortion fight has already headed to the states. A Louisiana judge has temporarily blocked the state from enforcing an abortion ban there. Louisiana is one of 13 states with trigger laws written to block or severely limit abortion in the wake of the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade.
We have some of the most strongest pro-life laws in the country.
A new Marist poll says 40% of Americans support the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe, while 56% oppose it. That majority opposition showed itself in protests across the country over the weekend.
It really shows that the radical left has become very anti-democratic.
A number of congressional Democrats want changes on the court. Some think 9 members aren't enough.
We need more justices on the United States Supreme Court.
Other Democrats want conservative justices kicked out after they called Roe legal precedent during confirmation hearings, then voted to overturn it.
I believe lying under oath is an impeachable offense.
They said that Roe was settled law, that it was long-standing precedent entitled to deference. They never said that they would only vote to preserve Roe.
Both sides ultimately want Congress to pass an abortion law, an unlikely prospect for now given the evenly split Senate. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
A new study shows gun deaths in Oklahoma have increased since a permitless carry law went into effect. That 2019 law allows people over the age of 21 to carry a gun without a permit or training. The newspaper of the Oklahoman analyzed state medical examiner data and found the state recorded some of its deadliest months in history since the law took effect. In the decade before permitless carry, only 10 months had 70 or more firearm deaths. From November of 2019 until January, there were 10 months with more than 70 gun-related deaths. Oklahoma primaries are tomorrow. Party nominations will be decided for governor, a U.S. Senate seat, state representative, state treasurer, and more locally. The district attorney for Ottawa County as well. Carthage is gearing up for the return of one of the 4 states' largest annual festivals. Marian Days will return in August for the first time since 2019. Brings tens of thousands of Vietnamese American Roman Catholics to town for a 4-day celebration of faith and heritage. The Carthage City Council tonight discussed a few matters concerning traffic, security, and cell phone towers to accommodate the crowds. The festival had been an annual event since 1978 until the pandemic forced organizers to cancel it the last 2 summers. City leaders are glad to see it return.
The vast majority of our community just really likes Marian Days. It's to the point now where a lot of our community will come out there to walk through, and they have food tents out there. They'll eat and interact with the pilgrims that come for the event, and it truly is. It's something to experience. It really is.
Marian Days will be August 4th through the 7th on the campus of the Congregation of the Mother Co-Redemptrix. Looks like some of us are going to be paying more for natural gas. The Missouri Public Service Commission has approved an agreement in a rate case filed by the Empire District Liberty Utilities Company. It means the average residential customer will pay about $1.50 more per month for natural gas. Liberty provides natural gas to 44,000 customers in 19 Missouri counties, including Vernon County. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time to honor another 4-state hero. Bennett Haddon served in the U.S. Army from 1942 to 1945. The Stark, Kansas native was stationed in Australia and New Guinea, and we salute Staff Sergeant Bennett Haddon, a 4-state hero. Nick is next with a complete look at the forecast, and a little bit later details on another big ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court today.
Plenty of dry air behind the cold front that came on through the other day. That allowed temperatures to really drop off after we wrapped up the weekend on a nice note with highs in the lower 80s the other day. In fact, it turned a bit chilly this morning. Upper 50s to lower 60s for morning lows, not afternoon lows. But for this afternoon, we did, because of the dry air mass, quickly catapult back into the lower to middle 80s this afternoon. We started the day with plenty of sunshine, no doubt about that, but we actually have a quick upper level wave upstairs trying to come out of western Kansas. That's the reason why we saw cloud cover pick up throughout the late afternoon and certainly the evening hours. And at times there have been signs of some rain trying to work into our corner of southeastern Kansas. But the main problem there is, while I did see maybe a couple quick sites in southeast Kansas picking up on just maybe a few light rain showers, all of this is being gobbled up by drier air near the surface. That's why we're seeing any rain chances just completely fall apart as they try to work across southeast Kansas. So again, most of us will stay dry, but everybody's seeing the cloud cover with this wave coming at us from the west. But this is looking good in Joplin, 74 degrees with the northeast breeze at 6. Dew points in the 50s. That is a comfy and drier air mass, a lot better than the muggy air mass we had to deal with for our hot week last week. Upper 60s to mid 70s. That's the range of temperatures at the 9 o'clock hour. A wider view shows how there was more rain actually trying to hold on across south central and southwestern parts of Kansas. Again, it's not because of anything at the surface. At the surface, we have an area high pressure working over northern Missouri. That's what's keeping dry air near the surface and a light breeze in place as we go into the course of the night. But upstairs, we're on the cooler side of the jet, sure, but right within this kink coming out of the northwest, there is that upper level wave quickly coming out of western Kansas. All it's really doing for the vast majority of us is keeping partly to mostly cloudy skies in place. I think the future track here is overdoing any slight rain chances we could have because, again, that's got to overcome so much dry air near the surface for anything to really come on down to the ground. So I'm not going to rule out a random shower, maybe during the overnight, but a lot of us will be dry during the morning drive, but everybody will be looking nice and feeling quite warm with this dry air mass warming us up quickly once again. 63 in the morning, 80 by noon. I'm thinking highs around 85, not just in Joplin, but across the entire area. We'll go back into the lower 60s for your Wednesday morning, but mostly sunny skies from start to finish. Unfortunately, that will start to send us back near 90, but at least the humidity stays low. But that 90-degree day for Wednesday continues into Thursday and Friday, a sure sign that we're back on the warmer side of the jet. But I want to watch for some tropical moisture that'll come at us with an advancing front coming in from the north. Look at what it does with our rain chances. It wants to try to ramp them up a bit as we head toward the holiday weekend. Based on how I'm seeing things now, maybe a stray storm Friday, a better shot for scattered storms Saturday, and some scattered storms Sunday and Monday. Not all day washouts, but rain chances will wash considering it's the fourth weekend nonetheless. But temperature-wise, Dow, we're looking good tomorrow with highs in the mid-80s, and then we're back in the 90s for the rest of the stretch.
Okay, we knew it was coming back eventually, but at least it's been nice to have a brief reprieve from the 90-degree temps.
At least we have more rain chances on the way. That'll certainly help.
Good point. Thanks, Nick. Hey, crews removed the old transmitter from the very top of our tower. Did it today. For now, we are broadcasting from a temporary transmitter a little bit lower on the tower as we prepare to put the new, more powerful transmitter at the top. Our signal is kind of glitchy right now for some of you. We know that. We are working on it. But when the project is finished, we're going to be broadcasting with more power than ever. Check out the progress anytime on our website, koamnewsnow.com/power. Coming up, another closely watched Supreme Court ruling.
The Supreme Court sides with a high school football coach who lost his job for praying after games. But critics say the decision erodes the separation of church and state. I'm Mallory Rivera in Washington with reaction to the decision coming up.
We're looking at
Conservatives are praising another Supreme Court ruling, this time involving a high school football coach who lost his job over reciting a prayer after games. The court ruled 6-3 that his prayer was protected by the First Amendment. Reporter Madeline Rivera has a closer look from Washington.
Days after overturning Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court issued another significant decision, this time siding with a high school football coach, saying he had a right to pray on the field after games.
I really don't know what to say. I just can't stop smiling. And, thank God and thank everybody that supported me. And I found out that I'm not insane.
In the majority opinion, Justice Neil Gorsuch said the school district could not restrict Coach Joe Kennedy from praying, adding the act was protected by the First Amendment. Gorsuch, writing, "The Constitution and the best of our traditions counsel mutual respect and tolerance, not censorship and suppression for religious and non-religious views alike." But the three liberal justices argue the ruling undermines the separation of church and state. In dissent, Justice Sonia Sotomayor wrote the decision elevates the religious rights of a school official who voluntarily accepted public employment and the limits that public employment entails over those of his students. The ruling is the latest in a series of decisions expanding religious liberty rights.
They adopted a test that, frankly, is more forgiving towards religious speech and expression.
The coach says he plans to return to his job coaching football at Bremerton High School in Washington State. At the Supreme Court, Malda Rivera, Fox News.
Still ahead, headaches at the airport.
Soaring flight cancellations and passenger frustrations ahead of the holiday weekend. I'm Lydia Hu at Newark Liberty International Airport. I'll have more on that story coming up.
Nominate your
Traveling by plane this upcoming holiday weekend, well, it could be a bumpy ride. Reporter Lydia Hu has more from Newark Liberty International Airport.
American travelers facing rising flight cancellations and delays ahead of the July 4th holiday weekend. The TSA screening more than 2.4 million people across the country on Sunday, the highest checkpoint volume since February of 2020. But those travelers were met with more than 1,500 flight cancellations and more than 12,000 delays over the weekend.
Those are thousands of flights being disrupted. This is not the norm.
Airlines placing the blame on the Federal Aviation Administration. Trade group Airlines for America requesting a meeting with Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, looking to discuss air traffic controllers' staffing, as they claim a key traffic control center in Jacksonville, Florida, has been understaffed for 27 of the last 30 days.
If you can't control what's going on in the skies, how do we get planes around this country?
The FAA pushing back, saying after receiving $54 billion in pandemic relief to help save the airlines from mass layoffs and bankruptcy, the American people deserve to have their expectations met. They also say they've added additional controllers and alternate routes. But some pilots are blaming the airlines, accusing them of overscheduling when they don't have enough staff.
We can decrease that margin of underperformance, but it's not going to get done unless they talk with us.
AAA expects more than 3.5 million people to fly over this July 4th holiday weekend. At Newark Liberty International Airport, Lydia Hu, Fox Business.
Up next, going to learn why this rocket launch by NASA is one for the history books. This blast off is going into the history books. It's NASA's first commercial spaceport launch outside the U.S. Here's the rocket taking off from Arnhem Space Center in a remote area of northern Australia. Its mission is to observe the Alpha Centauri A and B constellations. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Some tips on staying safe while setting off fireworks for the 4th of July. Plus,
another Russian missile strike hits civilians in Ukraine as G7 leaders pledge more support for the war-torn country. I'm Nate Foy in Lviv, Ukraine. I have the details coming up.
some McDonald County middle schoolers are reaching out with podcasts to teach four-staters about the environment and help some of the area's bird population. They're doing a podcast and talking with scientists at KNEO Radio studying whippoorwills. The population of that bird species is declining in the area, and the students themselves are learning in the process.
Something I wasn't expecting was learning about birds in general coming into this, but as we got to learn more about birds and whippoorwills, it's been a really fun adventure to get to this point.
The program is called SOAP, a combination of the words success and hope. Improper use of fireworks can turn summer fun time into a disaster. KOIM's Amber Jenkins has some safety tips to follow.
Summertime means heat, pool days, and fireworks.
We encourage, a lot of people don't know this, but if you put a barrier between you and your audience, so just like a piece of plywood, a 4x4, something that if the firework would happen to tip over outside of your bracing, it wouldn't get into your crowd. That's always a good idea, and never, ever, ever hold a firework in your hand.
Fireworks should be still handled with caution, even if you think there's no charge. Correctly disposing spent fireworks can prevent a potential disaster.
I want to make sure that everybody has a container to put the spent fireworks in. Make sure we have a bucket of water, or a non-combustible container we can drop the sparklers in so we're not throwing them down on the ground, stepping on them.
With these tips, do not let the lack of caution around fireworks ruin your fun.
Yeah, every year we'll get some grass fires and we'll get some vegetation around the house. Somebody will catch something on fire because the fireworks got away from them. Didn't go as planned, to say. And
in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Authorities emphasize if your fireworks celebration gets out of hand, do not hesitate to call 911. Missouri Governor Mike Parson has signed a bill that will exempt FIFA World Cup tickets from sales tax when the games are played in Kansas City in 2026. Last week's announcement that KC would host some games was met with those cheers in the city. FIFA officials required tax breaks from cities hoping to host the games. Democratic State Senator John Rizzo from the Kansas City region said estimates are the game could bring more than $600 million in revenue to the state. WNBA star Brittany Griner's trial in Russia is expected to get underway in early July. The All-Star faces up to a decade in prison following her arrest more than 4 months ago for cannabis possession at a Moscow airport. Reporter Greg Palcott has more.
WNBA star Brittany Griner faced a Russian judge Monday during a preliminary hearing in Moscow. We've now learned from Griner's lawyer the trial date has been set for July 1st. Griner's detention was also extended for another 6 months, pending the results of the trial. The Phoenix Mercury star was arrested in February after Russian officials claimed she attempted to smuggle vape cartridges containing cannabis oil into a Moscow airport. Members of Congress have stepped in, passing a bipartisan resolution calling for the immediate release of Griner. The State Department is declaring Griner's case as a wrongful detainment.
I've got no higher priority than making sure that Americans who are being illegally detained in one way or another around the world come home.
Brittany Griner should not be detained. She should not spend one more day being detained.
Communication between Griner and her family has been non-existent since her arrest. Griner's wife attempted to call her nearly a dozen times earlier this month. They were not connected due to staffing issues at the American Embassy in Moscow. The State Department immediately apologized, blaming the issue on logistical error.
It was a mistake. It is a mistake that we have worked to rectify. It was a logistical issue that was compounded in part by the fact that our embassy in Moscow is under significant restrictions.
Griner faces up to 10 years in prison if she's found guilty of drug transportation charges. Less than 1% of defendants in Russia are acquitted of criminal charges. In London, Greg Palcott, Fox News.
Russia launched another wave of missile strikes on civilian areas of Ukraine. The attacks come as NATO allies prepare to meet in Madrid. Reporter Nate Foy has more.
Thick clouds of smoke rising from a Ukrainian shopping mall on Monday. A Russian missile strike hitting the crowded building in the city of Kremenchuk. President Volodymyr Zelensky estimates over 1,000 people were inside.
It's an artillery war of attrition that is taking place. At some point, Putin may want to go to a ceasefire because he does not want the Ukrainians to be able to conduct counteroffensives.
The war a main focus at the G7 summit in Germany. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky urging leaders to help end the war by winter, when conditions could make fighting even more difficult. Western allies are planning additional economic sanctions against Russia, including a ban on gold imports and a price cap on Russian oil. The United States will also reportedly purchase an advanced surface-to-air missile system to help Ukrainian forces.
The longer we hold back, the longer this goes on, the more Ukrainian lives that are lost, and the worse it'll be for us here at home in America.
Meanwhile, NATO officials say they will increase the size of high-readiness troops to 300,000, up from 40,000 currently. NATO's chief says Russia remains the most significant threat to the alliance.
We will also boost our ability to reinforce in crisis and conflict, including with more pre-positioned equipment and stockpiles of military supplies.
NATO allies will meet this week to discuss additional support for Ukraine. Reporting in Lviv, Ukraine, I'm Nate Foy, Fox News.
A bit later, another problem that could get worse this summer.
You could be swatting a lot more this summer. I'm Ashley Strohmeyer with a look at why environmentalists say this mosquito season is expected to be worse. That's coming up.
Join the
After a hot and muggy week, it is nice that not only we wrapped up the weekend on a nicer note temperature-wise, that we just continued on that course throughout the course of the day. How many times can I say course in one sentence? But everybody gets the idea of where I'm going here. We had lower 80s for highs the other day. The drier air mass, which is a nice change of pace, dropped us quickly into the upper 50s and lower 60s this morning before we raced back into the lower to middle 80s this afternoon. We did that with starting the day out with plenty of partly to mostly sunny skies, but a quick wave upstairs coming out of western Kansas actually increased our cloud cover throughout the course of the afternoon and certainly as we continue throughout this evening. But the one thing it's been struggling to do, though, is bring any of these rain echoes or showers out of south central and southwestern Kansas. At times, we have seen a couple reports of either light rain or quick showers in a couple spots in southeast Kansas, like in Montgomery County and maybe Labette County. But there's so much dry air near the surface that it's eating away at all these rain chances, and that's what's going to do with the rest of those rain chances as we go throughout the course of the night. So 7th and range line, we're all dealing with the cloud cover with that wave coming in, but we're dry in Joplin, 74 degrees, dew point in the mid-50s. Again, that is a nicer air mass, a less humid air mass that will certainly savor before the heat eventually builds back in. Upper 60s to mid 70s is where most of us sit. During the 9 o'clock hour, wider picture shows the rain out west actually extended all the way back in the southwestern Kansas. But again, at the surface, this high pressure bringing in drier air still and eating away at these rain chances because of this quick upper level wave riding along the northwest flow of the jet. But we've got another ridge wanting to build out to the west and head our way down the road. Thankfully, it's not going to be tonight. We just got to get this quick upper level wave out of here first. Again, most of us with this wave will just deal with partly to mostly cloudy skies through the overnight and to get your Tuesday morning started. Maybe a random shower, but that is the big emphasis on maybe, considering how those rain chances are being gobbled up as we speak. But after a mild start, we're going to go right into another warm afternoon under mostly sunny skies and a light southeast and easterly breeze during the day. 63 in the morning, 80 by noon. I see highs topping out around 85. We're mostly clear, mild again for your Wednesday morning. And then, unfortunately, even though the humidity stays in check, unfortunately, we'll have temperatures back near 90 as we go back on the hotter side of the jet, and that upper ridge wants to try to build back in. However, I want to keep an eye on tropical moisture coming in from the south and another front that'll come our way during the holiday weekend. It wants to bring in some more rain chances, something we don't want per se given this a holiday weekend coming up, but it would help for areas that need any rain as we continue onward. 85 tomorrow, lower 90s Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, near 90 for the rest of the holiday weekend now. I don't think all day rain chances for the holiday weekend, but rain chances we'll keep an eye on.
Will it make a difference for those people planning picnics or other outdoor activities?
Yes, it will.
Thanks, Nick. If you're looking for a fun summer activity, you might check out Joplin's Wildcat Glades. Features plenty of nature trails and a river, as well as some recreation areas where families can hang out and just enjoy nature. KOAM photojournalist Ty Parks paid a visit to Wildcat Glades.
Wildcat Glades is actually, it's an ecosystem. When you talk about the Chert Glade system, that is out here at Wildcat Park. So Wildcat Glades is inside Wildcat Park. So it's kind of confusing to people, but the overall park is Wildcat Park. It's an ecosystem. So it means that plants can grow in about an inch and a half worth of soil. So what that means to us, a chert glade is a glade, an ecosystem that is on top of a rock called chert. That's what's unique to this area. So you can hike, you can bike, you can walk, you can jog, you can bring your dog, you can swim, you can fish, you can kayak, you can canoe, you can get on your stand-up paddleboard. So you can do a lot of things out here at Wildcat Park. You can also visit the Shoal Creek Conservation Education Center during the week. They've got some exhibits that are open to the public and it's free. You can also shop the nature store, which is ran by the Wildcat Glades Friends Group. Or you can rent a pavilion, you can bring a hammock, you can rent our hammocks and hang out in the park. We'll tell you what trees you can use to put those hammocks on and teach you how to use a hammock. So what can you not do out at Wildcat Park? That's really the question. This land should be protected, various reasons. One of the largest reasons that we feel is that we're encroaching on nature. And that might not sound like something super important to people, but let's get real. If we take away habitats for animals and we take habitat away from the plants that should be here, we're going to be in a world of hurt. We have deer out here, we have bobcat that hide out in the park, we have tons of birds out here, lots of just different species. So you take away the park, you take away habitat for animals and for plants. You also take away green spaces for people who don't have green in their own yard. How many apartment complexes do we have in Joplin now? So we need these lands. My volunteers like to say we want to get kids outside and off their cell phones so that they can enjoy nature and they can appreciate it.
It's going to be a water festival at the Glades on August 13th. You can check out other air adventures on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Coming up, why men should also be tested for a gene commonly associated with breast cancer.
Retrovert stops by the studio.
Thousands of people in the U.S. could be living with undiagnosed HIV, as fewer people have been tested since the start of the pandemic. The CDC says the number of HIV tests dropped by 44% in 2020. A CDC official warns testing is a core strategy for ending the HIV epidemic in the U.S. It's a genetic mutation that could put you at risk for certain cancers. While most people associate BRCA, commonly referred to as BRCA, with breast cancer, the gene can carry risks for both men and women. Reporter Mandy Gaither has more on a push to get more men to talk to their doctors in honor of National Men's Health Month.
At age 61, Steve Callister's father lost his battle to an aggressive form of prostate cancer.
You know, I've long had concerns about what my risk might be.
Now Callister's a father to 9-year-old twins.
I'm 50 years old now and, certainly want to be around for my family. And
that's why he decided to get genetic testing done.
it did come back as BRCA2 positive.
Having that gene mutation increases risk of certain cancers, including prostate, pancreas, and breast.
Hereditary cancer can be inherited from your mom or your dad, whether you're a male or a female. So, for example, if you're a male who's coming to see me, you can inherit cancer risk from your mother.
Hi, Steve. How are you today?
That's why Lindsay Byrne, licensed genetic counselor at Ohio State University College of Medicine, says it's important to know your family health history on all sides. If there's cancer in your family, she says talk to a doctor about whether genetic testing is right for you.
It helps us to know who's at higher risk and when to start screening.
Since his test results, Callister has changed his lifestyle to limit his risks and make sure he gets routine tests done every year.
It really is kind of a knowledge is power thing for me.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The genetic counselor says testing results typically are done through blood or saliva, and results usually come back within 2 or 3 weeks. We'll be right back. Temperatures aren't the only thing on the rise this summer. The mosquito population is also expected to boom. Reporter Ashley Stromier has more on what wildlife and health experts say is behind the swarm.
Have you heard the buzz? Mosquito season is ramping up, but if you feel like you're swatting away a lot more pests than this time last year, you may not be alone.
We'll go outside and play. It's our favorite thing to do in the summer, and they come back inside and they are just covered with bites.
Rising temperatures and rainfall levels due to climate change are creating the perfect conditions for mosquitoes to start reproducing earlier and for longer periods of time.
There is a change in the distribution of rain, not just in the United States, but in the entire world. So some areas are decreasing in precipitation. Some other areas are increasing in precipitation.
And the situation may only continue getting worse, with data collected by the United Nations showing 2021 was one of the 7 warmest years on record.
The warmer winters means that there are more mosquitoes the following year.
And while more mosquitoes may be annoying, it can also spell out serious health risks. The CDC lists the mosquito as the world's deadliest animal because of its ability to spread malaria and other diseases, like West Nile, which can cause body aches, and Triple E, which can cause deadly brain swelling in serious cases.
The fear of being bitten by mosquitoes should not keep you from going outside. It's just that you need to dress properly.
And that includes
wear long sleeves, long pants if you're going to be outside for an extended period of time. Use mosquito repellent. Get rid of standing water in your area.
Common areas in your yard that could collect standing water include the inside of empty tires and bird baths. Officials say you should make sure to dump these out frequently. Ashley Strohmeyer, Fox News.
Coming up, we're going to check out this week's new options in home entertainment, including DVD and digital releases. DVD, digital, and music releases this week include Wizards, a young girl with pyrokinetic powers, a Grammy-winning rock band, and more. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin with the list of new releases.
The world as we know it is coming undone.
Topping this week's list of what's new in home entertainment, Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore, starring Eddie Redmayne, Jude Law, and Mads Mikkelsen. The third film in the Harry Potter prequel follows Professor Albus Dumbledore leading a dangerous mission to help stop the powerful dark wizard Gellert Grindelwald from taking over the wizarding world.
I'm not special, I'm a monster!
Zac Efron, Sydney Lemon, and Ryan Kira Armstrong star in the thriller Firestarter. The remake of the 1984 film based on Stephen King's classic novel centers on a girl with pyrokinetic abilities that allow her to set fires with her mind.
Jane, I've got to get married.
The period drama Mothering Sunday is set in post-World War I Britain and tells the story of a housemaid's secret affair with a wealthy son of a neighboring family who's engaged. It stars Odessa Young, Josh O'Connor, Olivia Colman, and Colin Firth.
We paint because we have no choice.
Lena Olin and Bruce Dern star in the drama The Artist's Wife. It centers on the wife of a famous abstract artist whose life is turned upside down when her husband is diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease.
Connect to a sighted helper on demand.
In the home invasion thriller See For Me, a blind former skier relies on an army veteran living across the country to help her fight a group of thieves who broke into the secluded mansion she's house-sitting. For music fans, Grammy-winning rock band Imagine Dragons released their epic double album, Mercury Acts 1 and 2. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of penguins at the Brookfield Zoo playing with bubbles. Let's make it a great tomorrow.